Well, obviously, getting any road win, especially when you're, fighting to get into the NCAA tournament. We've come a long way from where we were non-conference. We had some good wins, but we had some tough losses, and our guys have, since then have really fought and defended better. And just kind of the fashion, that we won this game was huge for our team because, I thought we got some really good looks from the perimeter and weren't able to knock it down. I thought Matthias and Stevens had some looks that could have opened this game up a little bit. And we just couldn't knock it down. They probably feel the same way on their end. You always feel that way, with your own team. But they hung in there, and we kept getting key rebounds. We kept getting key stops, and you can't defend Indiana in a walkthrough and watching film. You can't. They break you down. They drive the basketball. They probably drive through the goal more than any team in college basketball. And so they make you go in to help, and then they make you go out to help. And then they'll throw it across court when they do that. And then they'll cut, back door, and Troy Williams will, jump over the rim, and James Blackman can shoot, Yogi Ferrell can shoot, and everybody they play can shoot outside of a couple guys. And it's just it's a tough thing to do, and it costs you some baskets during the game just because you try your best when you practice to play like them, and you really can't. Just like they try their best to assimilate, the size that we have, and they can't do that in practice. And so it's a tough thing. You can talk through some things, but when it gets down to it, you got to be able to keep them in front and guard them. And so it's a huge win for us, and especially in the fashion we were able to get it.
Matt, do you think this gets you in?
You know what? I said this earlier. I feel like you're in if you can lose every game from here on out, and they still put you in. So if we did that, we wouldn't be in. But we've gotten 4 road wins now in conference play, this obviously being the biggest one. So we still have work to do, I believe that. That's how I've always tried to handle it, even though I haven't been in this position a lot. Just tell your guys, if you can lose the rest of them and you're in, then, but who are you if that's, the way you go about it as a player? You want to go to that next game and stay locked in. For what we've been through the last 2 years, to go to another game, in a Big Ten game, and not just give a great effort would really shock me. These guys here have really played hard. They've really hung in there. Sometimes we don't take care of it. Sometimes we don't rebound. Sometimes we don't execute, but our effort's been pretty good.
Matt, what was the difference in the second half for your team?
I think just getting stops and limiting their transition game. The more we can score, and actually we did a poor job of stopping the basketball against a couple scores. Troy Williams got on the break and scored the ball kind of like 13, 14 minute mark. And so they scored a couple baskets in transition on 2 makes by us. But just being able to do that, dominate the glass. And if you're dominating the glass, now they're not getting second chance opportunities. But just limiting those transition, opportunities for them, I thought was the difference. But it started with us getting the ball inside. Those guys were a factor. Hammonds and Haas were a factor tonight. Hammonds was huge, and then Haas, if you look at his numbers, 12 and 9 in 12 minutes is pretty impressive.
Matt, can you speak to the growth of AJ?
I'm sorry.
Can you speak to the growth of AJ and
Yeah.
he seems to be playing with more of a motor. How and when did that happen?
Yeah, I think it happened, after we got beat at Illinois, and he's been really good since then, and has done a better job of being patient and not getting frustrated when things don't go his way, and continue to make plays. He didn't rebound tonight, but he scored the basketball, and our field goal percentage defense is a reflection of our improvement with Octius and Rafael Davis, but really him. He erases a lot of mistakes, and he changes a lot of shots. I just think his focus has been a lot better.
Matt, a lot of the guys are talking about how this win is so much bigger than just one game. Would you agree with that? Just the fact of the rivalry. What does this win mean to you guys?
Just the magnitude of, you're on the bubble and you're fighting for a win. It's a road win, and then it's your rival. And they're really good. There's not too many people are going to win here, if any more people, than us. And so we're very, very fortunate. We know how tough it is. I felt like we played them at the right time. And we played BYU in Maui, and they hit 23s the game before us, and it just came easy for BYU. And then the next game, we crushed them by 1, and they didn't make as many. It just didn't come as easy for them, and they're really talented. BYU can really score, and I felt that way about Indiana. I felt like it was perfect that they hit 18 threes against Minnesota, because you just don't normally have that kind of back-to-back game normally. So that's what I told our guys. I said, we have to do what we're supposed to on the offensive end, dominate the defensive glass, and got to guard them. got to be with them and make it difficult for them. But I thought the timing was also good for us.
Now, has there been a moment where you looked out there and said, they're getting it? I mean, was there this turnaround? Was it a gradual thing, or was there a time you can look at and say that's when it started?
Well, no, obviously you understand we were 8-5 non-conference. And we had a couple tough losses. But I always felt like our effort was there. I felt like everybody was pulling the rope in the same direction, where I was always fighting people the last couple of years. And that's part of coaching. Fighting guys, sometimes it's not, a guy's not a bad guy. It's just hard. You work so hard yourself to play a team sport. You want to be a part of it, but you also want to be a big part of it. And guys, it's difficult, but these guys here have bought into their roles. I shortened the bench a little bit, and that really helped us defensively. But, I just think we have a good group of guys, and that's something in recruiting that's so important, that you get the right guy. We're all going to get talented players, but getting the right guy that just, overall wants to win. And I feel like we have guys like that.
How'd you get through those last couple minutes without Oppius?
Well, that was tough. I thought Bryson Scott, did a really good job in a tough situation, and to go in there and in a tough situation and be able to have to guard a guy like Yogi Ferrell, and he really did a good job. But John had a good game. John, we were very fortunate to get John. He's been great for us.
Matt, Knight, there have been nights when AJ's been great, and then Isaac's been okay, and then just the opposite.
Right.
But as you'll go back and watch this film together, is this maybe the best game they've played together?
No question. No question. Isaac was huge on the glass. They couldn't handle him. I wanted to play him more. It's just so hard when they go small and they put those 5 shooters out there. It's very, very difficult. But 12 and 9 in 12 minutes is pretty impressive. You're getting a point a minute. It's not hard. But this would be a game if they played like this all the time. This is when you play them together. That's when you play them together. But we haven't had that. But it's a great problem to have when you have we don't have to change how we play. And before with AJ, when we subbed him out, we always had to change how we play. And Indiana has that when they have so much skill, they just stick with their style. And that's good because he's down there really worried about us, and we're down there really worried about him. You know what I mean? It's such a, you're on pins and needles dealing with those guys because everybody can play. Normally there's a guy or two out there and you're like, hey, you don't have to guard him or guard him. Indiana puts 5 guys out there and they all can play. And then Troy Williams he's unbelievable. That is so hard to defend. I haven't seen anybody like him in the Big Ten. He just breaks everybody down and gets to the rim.
Matt, the guys told us what they did during Christmas break to sort of atone for 8 and 5, sort of come back.
Right.
What did you guys do in practice? What was your approach with them?
Just be more demanding of yourself. You have more to give, and you have to defend and take pride and have that pinpoint responsibility of guarding your man and doing what you're supposed to do. And I just thought guys weren't given that. And to their credit, our players. We had some young guys. I was trying to get experience. I was trying to get depth, and I hurt us. It's my fault. I should have shortened the bench at that time, and that hurt us in non-conference play. And if you look after we've shortened the bench and played Raphael Davis a lot and played John Octius a lot, our defense has gotten a lot better. Now, A.J. Hammonds helps that with being more engaged here the past 4 or 5 weeks. So just trying to have that focus, but kind of sticking with those guys a little bit more because they're more defensive stoppers than some of our other guys. I think our other guys can be, they're just not there yet as young guys.
Coach, Raphael talked about sort of playing the loud music, loud noises during free throws throughout the week, and then now tonight you sort of see that pay off. How was that? What was the importance?
Well, I don't know if it pays off or not. You just, as a coach, you just try to do anything in your power to help your guys, especially when they don't have experience. We have 2 guys that play in Assembly Hall, and Hammonds and Raphael Davis. Nobody else has. And as a coach, that concerns you. That lack of experience concerns you. And so we just tried to play, pipe in the loud music and just try to, get them as much ready. I'm a big believer when it gets loud, pass it. If you start dribbling and try to make plays or whatever, think about every time it got loud. You don't hear whistles. Think about tonight. That whistle doesn't blow when it gets loud. It just doesn't. Anytime you go somewhere, count how many times you see a whistle versus a home team when it gets loud like that. Because you can't hear it, but it doesn't happen. I think it's just a human nature thing. Pass the ball, keep the ball moving, break them down. But if you just start dribbling, now you're playing right into their hands.
Matt, the play you called for Ray right at the end, where I think you were right. Anyway, talk about that, the way that was set up and obviously worked.
Well, we ran a play to try to get Kendall Stevens open. And we talked about having a higher screen and not letting Yogi shoot the gap. And AJ didn't set a higher screen, so AJ messed up a play to give him the ball. And so then when they did that, we were going to go into motion, and I just felt at the end of the day we needed a post up or a layup, and now we were into motion. I just didn't feel comfortable with it, so I called a timeout, and then just got him simply just on an easy handback and just turned the corner and scored the ball. He made the play. It was, Ray did a great job.
The past couple of years, and even sometimes the season, free throws have kind of been an issue. That
Right.
was